Welcome. My name is Lisa Kaplowitz. I am the co-founder and executive director of the Rutgers Center for Women in Business. Some of you may know me by my other hat here at Rutgers. I am also your finance professor. We are so thrilled to have with us today Alexis King from LinkedIn, and I will introduce her in a second. At this QR code here, if you want to join our community at the center, we really were set up to remove barriers, build community, and empower women. And through our research and educational programming, we elevate women, especially mid-career women, support intersecting identities, and explore actionable male allyship.
Hello, thank you so much. Very excited to be here, and we'll talk about many things over the course of the next hour. I wanted to start by just saying how excited I am to be here with you today, and how I'm looking forward to just helping and empowering and showing you a way to make sure that you are representing yourself, showing the best self that you can be. So that's what we're going to spend the next 10 to 15 minutes doing, and then we can get into a few stories and some examples. But I believe, as Lisa said, there's plenty of opportunity for you to ask questions and put things in the chat so that this is useful to you and you're getting the most out of our time together. So let me start by sharing the screen. All right, and yes, just a quick intro to LinkedIn. And I'm going to share our actual vision. LinkedIn's vision is to create economic opportunity for every member of the global workforce. And we live and breathe that. It's really important to us, and it's something we do every day. What we focus on is how we can help people, how we can make sure that they're getting the right connections, that they are getting the opportunity to grow and learn and achieve. So in thinking about what LinkedIn is and what LinkedIn is not, I always like to start with, what do you do on different other social media platforms? And putting together and just think about a topic as simple as donuts and how you would have conversations around donuts on the other social media platforms. You would do things like this. Share pictures of donuts that you either made or ate. If you're on Pinterest, you would share a donut recipe and cute designs of what you can make, bunnies out of donuts and all kinds of things like that. Spotify, you'd be listening to music about donuts, right? So these are the different things that you can do on social media because, yes, LinkedIn is a social media platform, but we consider all of the things that you see on this slide, and it's a little outdated because TikTok's not on here, but we consider us one big happy family and not competition. And I thought it always surprises people, but there's room for all of us out there, and we all are accomplishing different things in the social network. So in thinking about LinkedIn and how you would use LinkedIn in discussing donuts, you'd have a professional mindset. So examples of that would be things like, you want to work for a donut company, or you want to open up your own franchise. How would you would use LinkedIn to find out who does that already? What did they do to be successful? What are some other opportunities? What worked, what didn't work? A professional mindset could be looking for a job or a role or position at a donut production company, or and what your experience has been working at a donut company. So that's the difference of LinkedIn and how we fit into the social networking environment. So why LinkedIn? What does LinkedIn, how do we create value for you, and what's the difference? Well, it can be a lot of things to a lot of different people, but generally what we are passionate about is connecting people to opportunities. That's our value proposition. And this is to connect people to opportunities in whatever way that means to you. So you are accomplishing what you want to do and not feeling as though you're doing something that you're either not as interested in, or looking for where you can find the right opportunities for you is how you can think of this. All right. So, and when you're doing that, you have to think about yourself, or one way to think about that is brand. What makes a good brand, right? A brand is a company's promise to its customer, right? It tells them what we're all about. Like when you see this brand, things come to mind. Not just, oh, I can call someone. There's a lot that goes behind the Apple brand, and people get emotional about it. Some other brands. To me, these are both sneakers, but people have different feelings about the brands. And it's how you think about that. So ask yourself, what makes you decide that you like one shoe or the other? Which brand makes a promise to the customer that's different? And why is it different, right? So what can you expect that's different from a Nike Air than an Adidas high top? If you're in the market for sneakers, those will be important questions. So brands do carry a lot of weight and influence over people's decisions. So in putting that hat on and thinking about yourself and what you do, who are you? Because yes, you have your own brand. And when it comes to people, your brand is the promise to those around you. It tells people what they can expect from you. And it's something that's letting them know what's unique about you. So in thinking about how you put yourself on LinkedIn, your profile tells your story.
And Alexis, I just want to stop you for a second. This is all so amazing. And I know that our students and our alumni and our community is getting a lot out of this. I just want to point out again, for students especially, this is one of the things that is going to differentiate you for recruiters. It will help you even more as you're getting your job. They're all going to go here in addition to your cover letter, your resume, your interview. So I want you to pay special attention as Alexis goes through your profile and your story.
Yes, we're going to look at how to put together a really strong profile, because your LinkedIn profile is a digital portfolio that represents you and tells your professional and personal story. So think about it that way. So just to start, there's questions people go back and forth. Should I add a photo? Should I not add a photo? Generally speaking, yes, go ahead and add a photo. As you can see there from the statistics, there are so many more views based on people with photos.
So Alexis, I want to ask you another question. And I've noticed that a lot of women of color don't have their picture. And I'm obviously a white woman. So, and a lot of my students are students of color. Is there a best practice, or is there a reason, and I want to be sensitive to people's identities and feelings, and maybe something I don't know that's unconscious in my head as to why folks are doing this, but what are your thoughts on having a picture or avoiding our picture?
Well, thank you for asking that, Lisa. One of the things is we've been going through a lot of transitions in the last few years in what employers are looking for. And I don't want to say in the old days, because it could still be at certain organizations, certain people felt, especially from any underrepresented groups, that putting your photo would make them not be interested in looking at you or having you join their organization. But as I'm sure you've seen and heard in the last few years, 18 to 24 months, companies are out there and they are looking specifically for diverse candidates. So that is definitely one reason to add your photo. And when I say diverse candidates, it could mean even a woman who thought it might be better to not put her picture on because she was afraid that in the financial services industry, it wouldn't be seen. If a name puts a name Christine and she puts Chris on her resume or on her profile. Those were things we used to have to do in order to get jobs. But these days, we're finding that to just be not effective. And most companies are very vocal about finding diverse candidates because that's how their company is going to grow and shine. So I highly recommend pictures.
That is really, that's really helpful. And it's different. You said even just a couple of years ago, I know when I was looking for a job, I hid some of my activities that were more women based in my stuff. LinkedIn wasn't around when I started my job, but I hid some of that. And I agree. And it echoes what I say to my students all the time. Like, you're not going to hide who you are. And this time it actually works really in your favor. So promote it out there. It's part of your story. I saw one of the questions, how often should I update it? Personally, I had this great headshot that a professional took. Like, I don't ever want to update it, but I guess 20 years from now, I got to update it at some point, right? How often should I be updating this?
Updating the photo?
Yeah.
Whatever you're comfortable with. If you have had a significant change, many years have gone by, and you just think it's not an appropriate representation of who you are now. For example, if I have gray hair now that you can't see, but if I had a lot of gray hair now and I have a picture of me from 15 years ago, I might want to update that picture personally. Now, at the same time, there are some that say, well, that's, like you said, Lisa, it's my professional picture. Maybe it was from 10 years ago, but I paid a lot of money for this and it looks really sharp. That's the picture I want to use. So as long as you're comfortable with how the picture represents you, then you don't have to change your picture frequently.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Sure. Another thing, when I spoke about how important diversity is and how we are all in the world now really trying to make a difference and embrace inclusion and diversity, one thing you can do is record your name so that when recruiters or anyone reaches out to you, they know how to pronounce your name. That is, again, not just underrepresented groups, but people from all over the world. Here in the United States, we've got some names with family histories that may be difficult to pronounce or the way they're spelled a little bit differently. You can take a few seconds and actually record on your profile how to pronounce your name. And people will know then when they contact you that this is the appropriate way to put your name on.
I am going to do that because I am now forever Mrs. Kaplowski, Mrs. Kaplui, Mrs. Kaplawi. My husband should have just taken my name. It was much shorter, but that is good. That's going to be very helpful. I'm going to do that as soon as we're done with this.
Wonderful. I mean, it's really significant and it makes a difference. And people want to know how to pronounce your name. It's not that they don't, they try, but they didn't or don't get the opportunity by just reading a profile. So that and pronouns. 72% of hiring managers believe that it's important to show respect. If you want to be called, him, her, his, hers, they, them, those are options here. And that is how you will be addressed because it matters. It's respectful. So these are some of the things that just didn't exist a few years back. It doesn't even seem that long, but they make a big difference now. And in the hiring world and the world of making connections and getting to know who you're working with and what matters to them, these details do matter. So we do encourage you, but we leave space for them, for you to add them. Another thing that's great about your profile on LinkedIn is you want to bring your profile to life. You can do so with a 30-second video to introduce yourself. You can say your name, a little bit about your background, where you have lived or traveled, or some of your interests, why you're interested in this industry. So there's a lot of flexibility here, again, in the LinkedIn profile world that you couldn't accomplish by just having a plain resume that someone looks at. But now, don't get me wrong, when they see the profile and they're interested in working with you, they may ask you to pass along a resume, but they do look at both. And why not take the opportunity to share a lot about yourself? Another thing you can do is get very specific in what industry you are most interested in working in or being involved in or looking at, so that you can just get targeted and you're not having conversations in an art and music world if you are in a financial services world. And now if the two intersect, that's also fine, but it's really helpful for you to make sure that your time is maximized and you're speaking to who you want to speak to. Show that you're open to work. And there's so many different ways to use LinkedIn. It doesn't necessarily mean only open to work. This could be also locations, topics, the type of work you're looking for. And don't just think work. You can also indicate that you are interested in looking at a different school or graduate school, or I'm thinking of moving to a different area or a different country or a different industry. Because the change can be hard too when you're changing industries mid-career, as Lisa mentioned. If you're looking to make a change, start making connections in that new industry and having less in the old. so that you can learn more about what you're interested in and see what's top of mind and going on in that world. So
No,
these
awesome.
little steps make big difference.
Awesome. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. A couple of other questions that have been popping up. How do we record our name? And although I see right here, you can't see, I'm pointing to a screen that you can't see. I can see, oh no, right where you were before, that one.
Oh, it
If
was
you-
right on there? Yeah, because there was the slide that says record your name.
Yep.
Yeah, right there,
is a
next to the
little-
Sarah King.
Yep, right next to the Sarah King.
That's where you
Is
do
this
it.
on your desktop or can you do it on your mobile device too?
Oh, you can do it on both.
You can do it on both. Okay, awesome. And then there was another question on name about best practice. What happened when I get married and I've switched jobs in new industries? How do I display both of them? I know what I've done is when I got married, I actually made my maiden name my middle name. And sometimes I put Stern in parentheses. Sometimes I put Lisa Stern Kaplowitz. I can't even pronounce my own name. Maybe I should listen to the recording. And then, maybe I'll put an S, but I think even putting your maiden name in parentheses works sometimes, right? Do you see anything
That's
else?
pretty standard here. The maiden name in parentheses. I think in Europe they put NEE, N-E-E.
Okay.
They put the first name, married last name, and then N-E-E, maiden name. I've seen that as well.
Okay.
But
No, that's
parentheses
great.
works
And is
because
there
they'll immediately know.
Great. And then is there anything for those folks that are further along in their careers, because we have a whole slew of the talent pipeline here on this call, open to board roles?
To find them?
Board of directors. So instead of open to employment, is there something that says open to board of directors?
I would say that you'd have to reach out for that, but yes, you will be able to find that. So that is something that we would put in the search field, board positions, because they will be posted in LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And then you can find out where should I go to find out about board positions. You could put it under your name, instead of Sarah King here, it says on the screen, senior accountant at the company, you would put open to board positions and then that you're a senior accountant. So there's a lot of flexibility because those that are looking for board positions will search. We have algorithms, and for recruiters who are looking to fill board positions, they will search for things like that.
Great. Okay, keep going. Sorry, I'm interrupting, but this is so helpful, and I just want to make sure we're answering so many of these questions.
No, this is great stuff, and we want to make sure that it's clear and useful and helpful. My favorite part is the summary, because this is where you can really just tell a nice story. It can be an elevator pitch. You can talk about, if you're new to the workforce, you can talk about what you're interested in, why you're interested. So, I worked at a volunteer organization. I got to travel and see the world. I did an internship at this organization, and I really enjoyed working with the finance team there in my rotation of all the other departments that I worked in. So that's why I'm looking. So that's the kind of thing that you can explain in a summary that is never going to be on a resume. So it's a great opportunity to share your passion. Like you said, also, if you are mid-career, and you're either looking to make a change or move in a different direction, that's where you would put it, right here in the summary. I've had 15 years of experience in finance and accounting, and now I want to move into a sales role because I used to work closely with the sales team, and we did this, and I've learned these things over the years, and I attended all of their meetings and quarterly meetings, and now I know that that's what I'm really interested in. I'd love to move in that direction. That's what you would put in your summary.
And how much of the summary should be functional, tactical versus visionary and passion? And does that depend on what stage of career you're in?
Well, no, I think you should always put your passion, include, even if it's just a sentence or two about what you're passionate about. Employers want to know this stuff. This is not the sterile, I can't say how I feel or what I think or what I like or what I don't like.
The 90s?
Yeah, it's hard for us, right, Lisa? It's just not the 90s. But I appreciate the question because some of that is still in the back of our minds, and some of it is even of people this generation are around or have heard over the years that you can't put this and you can't put that. You can make it your own. So whatever you're comfortable with, however much level of passion you'd like to share. You've got the 2,600 words. whatever works for you. There's really no wrong way, because there's other things. It's just part of your story. As long as it's true and honest, I don't see any reason to hold back.
Great.
And then just some other things. To show that you're interested in an industry, you can enter content that you've gotten from other sources about stories. Or this is my favorite piece on CNBC that I saw, and I want to share that with my network. This is what's featured. You don't have to write the story. You can just add it because you read it. But you can do that as well. That's coming up soon. Of course, naturally, you're going to talk about your experience, whether it is work experience, school experience, volunteer experience, life experience. There's room for it. I think we've recently at LinkedIn have added the category working mom, working mother as a job.
Stay-at-home mom. Stay-at-home mom as well.
Yes,
which I
brand
love.
new.
Because by the way, that job is like the equivalent of $300,000 or $400,000 for all the folks you'd have to hire to replace mom.
All the work you do. Absolutely. So put in your experience, in your own words, what you did, but try and be here as detailed as you can around what specifically you did. This is not the place for the story. This is a place for your actions and and how you would say, I worked on this. I was part of the team that accomplished this. And then what were the results of your actions? So great place to get the accomplishments within each role you had. And then editing, you can get really creative here. Which company, where you were located. There's some flexibility in there as well.
So I see a couple questions coming up. One is, can we talk for a second about the open to work button?
Yes.
I don't want to look needy and desperate, but I would like to, be gainfully employed. How do I bridge that? And what's the perception of that from employers?
That this is where we should be looking. This person is open to work. People are on LinkedIn and companies are on LinkedIn to find people for these roles. So knowing who's open to work makes it that much easier and that much faster. And they can just search then for who's open to work. A lot of these biases that we have are some of our own creation. And think about it, putting it this way. Why wouldn't you say on a professional network that hires people that you are open to work?
So here's the question, because somebody asked, and this is actually really good. Is there a way for me to not have my current employer see it? Like only have recruiters see it, and not everybody?
No.
So here's my comment on that. And Alexis, I'd love your opinion as well. Right now, we are in a seller's market. What that means is the employee, right? I don't know if anyone saw I'm putting my finance professor hat on. The job, the job numbers today, they were massively to the upside. We are in an extremely tight labor market. That says, don't quote me. This is a Lisa Kaplowitz's opinion, not an opinion of Rutgers University. So that is your disclaimer. But is it bad for your employer to know that you're looking? Because can they live without you, or is it going to help you accelerate your career internally? So think about that as you're doing this.
Yeah, that's what you have to think about, because every employer is different. Some employers embrace that. They would see that and think, hey, we need to have a conversation with this person and see how we can help them and see how we can keep them and find the right role at our organization for them. And then it just takes that one person who's just takes a negative attitude and is like, oh, Lisa's got her name out there. Well, now that's going to negatively, because then we get the human element involved. So be careful and thoughtful, and saying you're open to work is not the only way that you can interact with recruiters. There's actually a button on here for that person who asked that question where you can say, let recruiters know that I am open to work without you having the purple circle.
Gotcha.
So that recruiters will know that it's okay for them to reach out to you.
Okay, that's great. That's actually really helpful. Then another question that was asked is, how should my LinkedIn experience and what I write on LinkedIn be different than my resume?
Sure. Yeah, your LinkedIn experience and what you write in your profile is where you can elaborate. You can talk about passions. You can talk about your interests, right? Because a resume is just what you've done. Your
Yeah.
profile is what you'd like to do, what you've done in other areas, right? Because my resume, I was in banking for 15 years before I went into learning and development. So my resume will just show that I was a branch manager, that I worked in business banking. That's great, but that's not what I want to do and not what I'm interested in now. So on LinkedIn, I talked about, yeah, I worked at the bank, but here's the things that I did and how that made me look into learning and development, because I was a branch manager and then I became a trainer, and I found out, wow, I love being in training. So I joined some training associations and some different things. So that's what's different about the profile. Now, as you're doing your job details, you might pull a few things off of your resume to help you structure them so that it's telling a consistent story. But look at all the different places that you can put so much information about the skills you've gained. So volunteer experience, there's not a lot of room for that in your resume. Your skills and endorsements, especially after you're professional and in the workplace, you don't have your college information on as much. You now move over to other things, but we're always growing and learning, and I'm always taking other courses. I took a course, I got a certificate from McKinsey on business management. That's external, things like that. And that is on my profile.
No, that's great. And I want to talk for a second about endorsements, because I've been asked a couple times by students, can you endorse me? Can you endorse me? And my policy is, if you need a recommendation for school, or you need a reference for a specific job, and you earned an A in my class and you're engaged because you're speaking, then I'm happy to write you all of that. But please don't ask me to do an endorsement, because that just creates a precedent. If I have over 200 students, I can't manage that. It's too cumbersome. But so be careful also as you're asking your professors. They are more than happy to write you a recommendation if you did well in their class and you were engaged, but they might not be able to accommodate something like this.
But here's what you can do. For Lisa's class, you had to work on a large group project towards the end, and you were partnered with 4 other students to make your big presentation at the end. And this could have been 3 months you're working on this. And you can talk a little bit about what was the project, what was your role in the project, and those other 4 people can endorse you, saying that you showed up on time, you held up your end of the bargain, you turned in all the work that you were responsible for in this project on time, you were a great partner and an excellent communicator. You can get endorsements from anyone. So in the professional world, we'd say those would be coworkers, but when you're a student, your coworkers or the people that your colleagues can also write you an endorsement, and it's just as valid. As long as it's true, it's just as valid. But I can understand why a professor can't endorse and write a recommendation for all of their students every semester.
But that is great. And that tags on really well to what I tell students all the time, that these groups that we do projects in, and they do in my class and have a big project at the end, these are your coworkers. So that is absolutely, that's it. It's networking. It's your first network. This is your team.
That's it. These are my last few slides. I just wanted to go through this and then we can chat some more, because I know I want to make sure we have enough time towards the end to answer great questions. Just really don't forget about other things. You can get specific to a location, or nowadays you can say, I want to work someplace where I can work from anywhere. There's no wrong answer. There's nothing wrong with saying, I want to be remote. And you can search for jobs that are only remote opportunities. So that's really critical, really helpful. Don't forget about your education. You can not only follow people, but also write original content and publish things, and any other accomplishments you've had. It could be you climbed to the top of Mount Everest. If you did that, I think you should put it on your LinkedIn profile for sure. Right? Would you put that on a resume? I don't know, but you could definitely put that, maybe even with a picture, on your LinkedIn profile. So I had mentioned this before, you can follow companies that you're interested in the industry that you're working for. So even if you don't apply to that company in particular, you can say, well, this is what I know other companies in this industry are doing around marketing or around whatever the topics are that you're most interested in. And same thing with followers. I follow like Betty Lou from Bloomberg. I follow, you know, Ariana Huffington, because I think she's amazing. So find out what because these influencers, they're saying good things. They have a lot of positive messages. They can teach, they can talk about how to help you navigate your career inside whatever industry you're most interested in. So last thing, make it personal to you. Customize your LinkedIn feed so that you see more of what's relevant to you, so that it can better position you to make the changes or reach out to the right people and the right contacts and so on.
Awesome. So helpful. Thank you for sharing the slides, etc. I want us to respond to some of these questions that were here. There's a lot focused on engagement. You know, what is the right LinkedIn etiquette? How often should I be posting? How often should I be liking or commenting or responding to people who comment on my post? Are there general rules of thumb?
No, because it's your world, your industry, your time frame. If you have time to go on every day for 5 to 10 minutes and see what's new, what the updates are, what's exciting, then absolutely. If you are working or busy and you have small children or anyone in your family or that takes your time and you can check twice a week, then that's what's appropriate. If that's when you can check and see, okay, well, and then it's even more important to make sure your feed gives you information on the topics that you're most interested in and the people you're most interested in hearing from. Because, for example, Ariana Huffington, she posts an excellent story once a week. And because I follow her, I get her weekly posts. So every week I can see what new story she's posted. There's another leader I follow, Mike Figuerello. He does a lot on leadership. I'm a people leader, so I like to see his posts. Once a week is enough for me to see his posts. But I do go on, you know, a couple times through the day if I can, maybe late at night, 10, 15 minutes.
No, I think that's great advice. There was another question about keeping on with engagement, and then I want to go to years of experience. But LinkedIn invites. So I know when I first joined LinkedIn, I wanted it to be very pure. And I only wanted to accept people who I knew and I've actually physically seen their faces, right? And then it kind of got out of control. And
now
as long as they
have changed.
And then as long as I didn't think they were trying to connect with me to sell me something, I was like, okay, what's the rule of thumb? How pure should my LinkedIn community be versus, you know, a popularity contest?
That is, again, a very personal decision because it's what you can manage. I do something very similar to you, Lisa, but after speaking here, then I would include anyone who either goes to Rutgers, is a member of the Center for Women in Business, joined the session. I'd be happy to connect with everyone on this call.
Ditto.
Because that's my nature.
Right.
But like you said, if I'm picking makeup because I don't wear a lot of makeup. I was never into makeup. But if like a person who's got a makeup business and is like, I've got this new eyeliner or eyeshadow that's fantastic and stays on for 3 days. You can't wash it off. It's just, they think is a selling point. And they're like advertising that to me, I might decline that request,
right?
Because I'm just not interested in makeup. That's just me. But whatever you're comfortable with, you can also accept with people and then remove them and not see their posts. I have accepted people and matched with them, and then I go through and I see their posts and it's just always about their cat, and I love cats. But if they only post every day or every week about their cat, then I might just say, I don't need to be connected to this person, or we can stay connected, but I don't want to see their posts. So if they have a day job that is interesting to me, and I may possibly one day need to reach out, we can stay connected, but I don't have to see their post. So there's a lot of flexibility, and that makes a huge difference. So try a few things and then get comfortable.
No, that makes sense. Then the last question before, because I want to talk about you, and I think your career journey is really interesting, especially for our students as well, and what it's like to work at LinkedIn. What, as I always like to frame this as me, these turn into self-help sessions personally, but as we get more advanced in our career, at what point, because we get hit with ageism, especially as women, right, as they go on, are you seeing more and more folks take the dates off their education? Should I limit my work experience so the jobs I had maybe the first 10 years of my career, I don't even include them anymore?
Well, that is what I do because they're just not relevant to what I'm doing now.
Right.
So you want to keep this fresh. Again, you can, on your LinkedIn profile, as long as everything on there is accurate, it is okay to leave off the old positions. So I go back 10, 12 years.
Okay. That's good to know. I'm back almost 30. So maybe
Yeah.
so it's two schools of thought, right? And so,
well, on your resume, you may keep all 30.
Right. No, that's a good point. No, that's really helpful. Okay, let's talk about you. And for the students, again, the real points are coming at the end. For those that are not current students, don't even worry about it. Ignore what I just said. Doesn't mean anything. So Alexis, how did you transition? How did you get to LinkedIn? And then talk a little bit about what it's like to work there. I know they've announced some new policies and whatnot that are kind of exciting.
LinkedIn is an incredible place to work. I'm 4 years in and I still pinch myself because I cannot believe that I work here. They treat their employees really well. And that goes a long way. They're very considerate, very employee focused. And if you keep your people happy, then they will work really hard and give 100% without you asking and begging and doing all other things. But how I got involved in LinkedIn is just like the stories say. I was at another company and I got this in-mail message from someone saying, we've reviewed your background and we think you'd be a great fit for this position. Would you consider speaking with a recruiter? And I thought, well, all right. It's a 20-minute conversation, can't hurt. And it's LinkedIn. So I just had a quick conversation, understanding the role. I mean, they reach out. So they reach out all the time. I'm still getting job offers from other companies. So it's.
I just got hit up by something because of my LinkedIn profile that, by the way, I haven't done in 20 years. So, yep. And I love my job here at Rutgers, but they search by use an algorithm and they search for keywords. So that's another thing that I would mention. Whatever you're interested in, get that somewhere in your summary and in your job descriptions so they can know that you specifically have advanced, what are those things? Pivot table skills. I do not. But if you do, make sure you get that in your story of what you enjoy working with. I love working with numbers. I love doing, pivot tables, advanced pivot tables, and great
Power BI, all that fun stuff.
So tell us what it's like to work at LinkedIn. What are some of, and even during this pandemic, right? It's been really tough for folks to stay connected. There's a question about ERGs, so talk about that. And by the way, LinkedIn is one of the first companies to pay the global leader of their ERGs actually money for running it.
Right. Well, one of the many things that I love about working at LinkedIn is they take care of you and all of your needs. So they're always emphasizing wellness, mindfulness, time off. I mean, we have unlimited vacation, which the first time they said that to me, I didn't know. I said, that's not a thing. What do you mean we have unlimited vacation? It means that it's a discretionary. So you can work here for a while and go to your manager and say, I need to take 3 months off to be with my family, and it can be approved. It also means, like, if you take off 2 weeks at Christmas and then a week at Easter, and then you want to go to Europe in the summer, picture pre-pandemic, you want to go to Europe in the summer for 2 weeks, and then something else comes up in the fall, it's not 6 weeks, 8 weeks, counting the days. It's What works for you? So that's one of the things that's great. Also, even now, if you do go into any of our LinkedIn offices, the food is amazing. They have really great breakfast and lunch that's made by top chefs. For St. Patrick's Day one year, they flew in a Michelin star chef from Ireland, from Dublin, and he came and he made us all like just with his crew, and we all had lunch and it was delicious. And then they also had like Irish dancers. So it's always like fun and festive and something to celebrate, so that you work hard and you get, rewarded. So there's those kinds of things that are, trivial, but meaningful. And as Lisa mentioned, the ERG means an employee resource group. And LinkedIn has several different employee resource groups, which is a group that have similar initiatives or backgrounds that work together for comfort and to advance each other and support each other in the organization. So for example, at LinkedIn, we have a Black inclusion group. We have OLA, which is our Hispanic Alliance. We have our LIAA, which is LinkedIn Asian Alliance. We have Wisdom, which is an ER group, which is a group of anyone over 40. We have Emerge In, which is it's kind of talked about as groups of either immigrant backgrounds or first generation, because there's just like that camaraderie. So what each group does is, there's families at LinkedIn. It used to be called Parents at LinkedIn, but then we changed the name to Families at LinkedIn. And I'm a member of Women at LinkedIn. So each of these groups will meet and hold special events geared towards the group that they're supporting, making sure that we're being recognized by the organization, that we are having topics and events that are relevant, with speakers that are relevant. For example, it's Black History Month now, so our Black inclusion group, our Black American, or our Black inclusion group at LinkedIn has all of these events throughout the month of February that we can attend with panelists and speakers, both internal speakers at LinkedIn and external speakers. So we reach out to people at top organizations and have them come speak to LinkedIn. We, some famous people you might know, I don't know if I can disclose any of these names, but so famous people, for example, in the past, I can share that we've had Michelle Obama. We sponsored her to speak to a certain group, and she'll do our kickoffs. So all kinds of things like that.
I think that's great. You also mentioned, go ahead.
I was just going to say, these groups are by employees, and generally it's like a whole nother job, but we weren't getting recognized for it. So I became an event planner when I was at Women At, and putting together and having amazing female speakers come and talk about their books and so on. But now LinkedIn is one of the first companies that pays the head of the ERG a $10,000 bonus. So that is really crucial. It really just shows how much they value our input and how much they value the time that we put into supporting these groups.
Which is great. And they're one of the first companies to do this. Another company who's on our board at the Center for Women in Business, BMS, has full-time jobs as well. So that's yes. Even the next level. Their entire Absolutely. Job is running the Global Employee Resource Group. They call it People in Business Resource Group, which is phenomenal. You also talked about LinkedIn during, for Black History Month. I also want to emphasize, because I know we've talked about this before, that it's a resource for learning. So, it's Black History Month, and, one of my big things, Black History Month, Women's History Month, any of these affinity months, we need to highlight people outside of these months and spotlight the contributions of these diverse populations, not just in February or March or in October for Hispanic Heritage Month, but all year long. But one of the things that I've even noticed, in the last couple of days on LinkedIn, is the resources, the people I follow, the articles, the teaching guides, essentially, like how can you learn more about, how can you act, here's some organizations to contribute to.
How to be an ally.
How to be an-
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. So
And things you can do throughout the year, just like you mentioned, Lisa. Absolutely.
no, that's great. Okay, I want to have fun with one thing, if we can do it quickly. And then I know there are a couple other questions as well. You just started a side hustle. Can you talk about that? Because I know that's like kind of the big thing these days is everybody during the pandemic, maybe I started a side hustle, maybe I started a gig, maybe just spend a 1 minute talking about this side hustle that you've done.
I got involved in Airbnb and I learned so much. Just now I know what it's like to be a business owner and running your own business. I had not really done anything like this. So my business partner and I, who happens to be my cousin, we either rent a property or we actually bought 4 houses last year and we rent them out up in the Poconos. Oh, this is my audience. So you guys know, because sometimes I talk to people in California and I'm like, oh, I'm in the Poconos. And they don't know where the Poconos are. So we're in the Catskills and we're in the Poconos and we've got some houses and, you know, you just get in there, put some paint on, make sure the house looks good, get it furnished, and then learning how to list them on Airbnb and what insurances you need. And it's been interesting and exciting and just learning about a whole new world. And you can do anything, because if you had told me 12 months ago that I would own 4 houses, none of which I live in, and then take care of them and get them up and running and have guests coming in and out, I would be like, you're a really bad fortune teller, is what I would tell a person. But that's my reality now. And it's been an amazing journey. It's taking off. It's doing well.
Awesome.
So very excited. Don't be shy. Don't be nervous. Try what your interests are.
And now you have more money to go on vacation yourself.
Absolutely. I stay in a lot of Airbnbs, but in Florida and Arizona and Southern California now.
Awesome. No, I love it. There's one question that keeps popping up that I wanted to get back to because we have about a minute left, a couple minutes left. Headline. How do we maximize our headline to stand out to recruiters and to just be that, you know, initial hook?
Sure. At LinkedIn, we don't even we used to not put our titles. We put fun things. Things like, I enjoy or passionate about learning. I think at one time my headline was like, ready to help you achieve your learning goals. That's actually what it was, because I was in a different role and I was just comfortable with that. It's not the main thing that recruiters look at. Sometimes they use their eyes, but you've got to think these days it's in the algorithms and the keyword searches. So you can put fun things so that they can see and learn about you. But as long as you've got key words about what you do, what's important, and what they need to know about you, get that either in the summary or in the job titles and details. It's not necessarily the headline, because imagine recruiters every day are looking at 300-400 profiles. Some cute title is not what's going to make them reach out. It's going to be the substance of where you are. What's going to grab their attention is why you're a good person, a good fit for the role. And then they'll look at the details.
That actually takes a lot of stress off, because now I don't have to be as creative as I thought I was. I want to thank our partners and sponsors. These are all the companies that partner with the Center for Women in Business, and we couldn't put on these amazing events and presentations and provide these mentoring programs that we do without all the generous support from them as well.